Welcome back to Box to Lights. Welcome to our PAX Emancipation playthrough. This is part 3. Up until now, we've been focusing a lot on the rules and explaining all the rules, and I think we've pretty much got most of them down. There are a few little rules that we haven't covered yet, but we'll get to them. So what I'd like to do now is kind of change tempo a little bit and play on and kind of play a little bit more to win. So at the moment, I've kind of let things get away from a strategy. I've been focused on trying to show you the rules. So we're going to play to the end, which is when these two decks have run out. So last time I noticed the west deck's nearly empty. What that means is when this starts filling, if this deck's empty, they're going to start getting eastern ideas instead. And then we'll look eastwards because we've been focusing lots around the colonies in Europe. And then once these two decks are emptied, if we've satisfied our conditions, we'll focus on those as we play, then we'll count our score. It's green players' turn, and they need to focus on breaking down barriers. Red player can help here because Parliament's Marines can get rid of embargoes, the purple ones, and I've not been making use of that either, so we'll think about that, because every time you fundraise, you get this extra maritime action. That's Red's superpower, so I really need to be building ships. We get rid of barriers with the suffrage op. We have one here. And there's also one here over on this American Revolution. So I think what I'm going to do is a syndicate action. 0, 1, 2, 3. This civil society seems like a good candidate. A cost of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's got suffrage, it's got westernised. I'm kind of hoping that it survives the market refresh as well, because it's got candle feather. So this is a viable idea, and it's got an impact icon. So if I can legislate it, this icon lets you claim a red barrier. But I'm going to gamble. I'm going to gamble and hope that that card survives, because I also want to get the revolution moving. So my second action is going to be join revolution. It says you can join a revolution in the market with the option of a counter-revolution. I'll discuss that in a second. The cost of joining is number of agents currently there squared, and we add a revolutionary. So we're going to join this one here. The number of agents already there is 1, so the cost is going to be 1 squared, just 1. And a counter-revolution, if we wish, when we join, is we can flip this thing to US Civil War. And the cost here is equal to the number of dissidents squared. So if you remember, this is red because there were 2 red dissidents. So if we wanted to flip that white, we would have to pay 2 squared for cost, flip it to white, but we don't want to do that. So let's pay the 1 cost, the cost to join the revolution. Install the agent, and that's created a revolutionary. That's my 2 actions. Let's move to the ops phase. The good news is that agents sitting on a revolution, they can still, even though they're revolutionaries, they can still take operations, right? So you can do this and then move them back. So let's use the green one here to do a suffrage. We're doing it here in the colonies. There's 1 slaver. Remember, the cost of suffrage is the number of slavers squared. There's only 1, so it's just going to keep being 1. It is an elephant action, so we're going to keep the elephant here in Virginia, where this agent is posted, because the hate roll is then cheaper. So the cost of 1, we're going to claim a barrier. Let's grab this one. The Ku Klux Klan, get rid of it. Nice. It's interesting to see, because when you modernize a sphere, these barriers can still remain. You know, we could still have, even in modern times, the Ku Klux Klan active in North America. Looking at ops, we can actually do this 2 more times. And get rid of these last 2. So we've got the Jim Crow, segregation, and the fugitive slave law. Going to cost 1 each. 1, 2. So we're short of agents and we're short of money. But the good news is we can really do a number on North America now, because we've got republicanism. We've still got 1 op left. Capitalizing natural theology is tempting. We also have literacy and manumission. But both of these are elephant actions. They have to happen at the elephant's port, Virginia. And we had to put the elephant in Virginia in order to do the suffrage. the white barrier here prevented us from doing it in the Caribbean, and so did this one actually. So do we capitalise natural theology? Yeah, why don't we? Why don't we? It's not viable, so we can't legislate it. But we could use the lawsuit or the plebiscite operation. It's going to be free because there's no agents here. So let's do that. The question is, do we put it in the Bill of Rights or the general will? I think we'll put it in the Bill of Rights. So we're going to take the lawsuit operation, and we can either go for lock, which might be useful if I look at the revolutions. We've got lock here in India. That's the only one. So it would allow us to do a revolution in India. Or we could go for lock comet. Let's go lock comet. There's no impact because it's a lawsuit. And then our bonus is we can fundraise. So wealth to capital, that's it. That completes our ops. Elephant phase. The elephant has moved, or we've used it. There's a gap in the market. We just capitalised a card. So we do the hate roll. In Virginia, there's only the port, so it's just one die. In fact, there's no barriers here, so this isn't even going to do anything. No pogrom roll, no revolution, so it's just market refresh. So everything slides down. Let me just reset these. For red, I think we're going to take the opportunity to fundraise, get everything back up into capital. Then I'm going to use the bonus maritime action. So for a maritime action, I'm going to put a marine back on this ship, which means we get to do gunboat diplomacy. Remember, gunboat diplomacy gave us 3 options. We can do a piracy roll against a slaver, but there's no slaver. We can claim an embargo, there's no embargo. But the third option is you can claim an anarchy, so we can pull that one anarchy back. Victory point is a victory point. And as my second action, I'm going to join the American Revolution. The cost is number of agents squared. 2 agents cost is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we added a revolutionary. Now we can do ops. We've got manumission and suffrage. But I think they're all a bit too costly as it goes. So if I wanted to head east to say Ottoman, it's going to cost me 5 gold. That'll let me put a freedman in here. Now I have a majority, which means I can do suffrage here, which is quite cheap because it's only going to cost me 1 number of slavers squared. But that initial cost, I don't even have enough gold for that. I can't do it in these places because these are diseased. I can't move the elephant in here. So I think what I'll do instead is ignore these ops. I'm going to do a literacy. Because it's free, we'll move the elephant over to London because I've got a red agent there. That's the precondition. And then I can add a dissident ready for the revolution. So now we do elephant phase, the cultural diffusion. It's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's a shame. It's got the cultural diffusion arrow, so this one moves over, this one goes. Now we do the hate roll. It's just the port, so it's 1 die. Anything but a 1. I've got 4, so that's okay. No pogrom roll, no new revolutions, there's no anarchy on the map. But we do have a successful revolution. It's viable and it's full. So candle feather, we have a candle feather freedom pair in the general will. So we're going to modernise the sphere, the colonies. These icons here just tell you what's on the flip side. It tells you that it's lock candle on the flip side. This number 3 is just a count of the number of revolutionaries. And our agents here are going to be able to enact some laws. Let's modernise the colonies. Freedmen and agents are going to stay where they sit. So we flip. The agents and freedmen go back. We've got 2 dissidents. The dissidents will fill any more freedmen spots, and any remaining dissidents will emigrate. They emigrate to any sphere, So it doesn't have to be adjacent, but there is a priority. First, it has to have slaves, so one of these black squares. They won't migrate to a diseased sphere, so that takes those out. And from those remaining, they'll move to the sphere with the fewest number of barriers. So he is going to emigrate to Brazil. So maybe I could have done the manumission here, and that would have allowed me to emigrate somewhere else, like, that shouldn't be here, like Ottoman. But it was costly. This would have been costly. This is a cheaper way. This is free, basically, now. So that's our dissidents and emigrants taken care of. If the elephant were here, we'd walk it clockwise. Remember, elephant can't sit in a modernised sphere. Now we've got 3 agents, and each one of these agents can enact a law. So we'll do them one by one, working from right to left. So our first red revolutionary. What law will he enact? He can claim a barrier in this sphere. There are none. He can claim an anarchy in this sphere. There are none. He can claim a slaver. So we could take this slaver out. We can regress a barrier. Now you don't want to do this playing solo, but if you're playing multiplayer, you could force another player to return a barrier. This is called corruption. Corruption in this way is not part of the solo game. We could fill one of the slaver spots with a freedman. There are none. We could post an admin anywhere in the world. So we could post this guy. That's tempting. Or finally, we could build our factory. There's 3 square cubes. I've not told you about these yet, but these are factories. Factories is the way you get rid of disease. It also reduces the cost of shipbuilding. So we're definitely going to place a factory. This represents the Industrial Revolution in the newly formed United States of America. That's his law enacted. Once he's done it, he goes back to the wealth box on your finance board. Next is the green agent. Green's also going to create a factory and pull his agent back. Factories are worth victory points at the end of the game as well. And then finally, red. There is an 8th option. You can place this into one of the 2 splays. So we could capitalize it. If we wanted candle feather, candle candle. If we wanted comet feather, comet candle. If you place it into the Bill of Rights, you have to purge the existing one. So this is really only beneficial in the multiplayer game. It's not helping us here. And it means that competitive players can steal points from each other because there's points based on these splays. So we're not going to cover that, but I'm not worried about candle candle. So I'm going to, if you don't take option 8 and put it into a splay, this is just discarded, like a discarded idea. So I'm going to do that. So instead I think I'm going to place this as an agent in another sphere. I think we're going to place it down here in West Africa, where we can, in the Congo, where we can start making an impact on these barriers. As for George Washington, he's discarded from the game. A revolt against taxation without representation established the first and only nation founded upon Enlightenment principles, with a constitution based upon the ideas of John Locke. I feel a sense of victory. Market refresh. These come down. And the late slave rebellions comes in. Green player. First action we're going to take is legislate. To legislate an idea needs to be viable and syndicated. We've got Candle Lock up here in the Bill of Rights, Candle Lock. Republicanism is Candle Lock and it's syndicated. So we can legislate republicanism into the Bill of Rights. First thing we do is we divest the syndication. So that's going back in the wealth box. Then we execute the impact icons. This is a red barrier. You'll notice this acts like an elephant op, so we're going to move the elephant first. Where should we move it? Down to the Congo. Normally, an elephant can't move to a sphere with a disease, but we have a factory. The green factory allows us to do this. It allows us to move the elephant in here with disease. We remove the disease as soon as the elephant moves in here, and we take this into our victory pile. And now we can remove a red barrier. The Imbengala slavers in Congo is no longer diseased. It's got the mosquito, the cross through it to show there's no disease here now. Now we decide which way up we want to put it. We've already got lock comet, so let's put it here and go for comet candle, which has potentially made more ideas viable, such as this one here, the Nada Parliamentarism comet candle, and it's syndicated. My second action, we're going to fundraise. So this, then we move to ops. We've already taken an elephant op, effectively, so we can't move the elephant, but we don't need to. We're going to do suffrage. So there's 2 slavers. No, strike that. That's too expensive. That's 4. Well, maybe we can do 1. Let's do 1. We'll do 1 suffrage. Cost of 4. Yeah, it's hugely expensive. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can get that right back. Let's get rid of the red barrier. Asante slavers. Then for this one, let's westernize. Preconditions, remember, we either have to have a green agent, we don't, there's a red one, or no red barriers. There's no red barriers. So now we get to add a freedman. Is it here? There's a risk it'll get removed by the witch doctors, but at least it won't add anarchy. And we only roll once for the hate roll. So elephant phase, it's going to do nothing. The elephant's moved, there's gaps in the market. Hate roll, just 1 for the ports. It's a 6, that does nothing. Right, it was a 1 here. So let's refresh the market. Just 1 card left now over here. It's red's turn. Oh wow, there's too many things I want to do here. And I haven't got enough actions. I want to build a ship. I want to fundraise. And I also want to legislate to set green up. Let's just fundraise and ship build. Shipbuilding costs 3 gold. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to grab a ship and an agent. Place the ship here in Japan. An agent in debts. Then you can do a bonus marine action. So I can move this marine if I wanted over here. There's too many slaves here at the moment, so I'm going to ignore that and get rid of this embargo instead. That's my gunboat diplomacy. Happy with that. That's my 2 actions. I can't do westernize. We could do literacy. Let's do that. Add a dissident where there's a red agent. Just do I want to put it in Europe or in Congo? Let's fill up Europe and move the elephants to London. No, let's move it to Nantes. So the elephants moved, now we've got cultural diffusion. Yeah, this is the trouble. I was tempted to legislate to make a gap, but I didn't want to get into debt either. Let's roll the dice. It's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Liberal Party goes. Yep, that's a good one. Good one for green. Now the hate roll, we're rolling 2 dice. I don't mind if we get a 1 this time because that'll add anarchy, which will then create a revolution. And it is, we got a 1 and a 2. So the 2 does nothing. A 1 would remove a red thing. There is no red thing, so it's going to add anarchy for red. So now we're going to launch a revolution in Europe. Here we go. It's going to be a red one. There's 2 red dissidents. It's Napoleon. This is replacing the lowest firebrand idea in the Western market, which is late slave rebellions. That's a 14. Yeah. Dissidents are full. We made certain of that. So we add a people's hero. If we'd have thought ahead, we could have syndicated this card, got the second one, and resolved that revolution straight away. As it goes, we're going to refresh the market now. And it's green's turn. Green's going to start by legislating. We need a viable and syndicated idea. And we're going to do this one, which lets us take down a red barrier. Divest this. Tocqueville, observing the rise of democracy and the market revolution in America, thought that liberty and equality could be syncretically balanced. Through self-interest properly understood, persons take control over their own lives and create a vibrant civil society without the tyranny of the majority. We're going to create, well, I want it this way up, really, don't I? Candle, candle. It's good. It's an elephant op. It's going to allow us to remove a red barrier. So let's do that here in Korea. And we'll get rid of the Tokugawa shogunate. And then our second action, we're going to post an agent. It's going to cost the number of barriers, which is 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Post an agent. In Korea, right? Now we can do ops. Westernize. Suffrage is still a little bit too expensive in a minute. Remember, westernize, I need a green agent, so an agent of your colour, or no red barrier. There is a red barrier. Hence why I had to post one, and I want to free these Korean slaves. Okay, so the elephant's moved, and we've got a gap in the market, so there's no elephant phase. Hate roll. In Korea, we've only got 1 die now. Okay, but there are still lots of barriers. Let's see what happens. It's a 3. So nothing here, nothing here. And we've got a frustrated icon, the jaggedy barrier, asking us to remove a red thing, which there isn't, so we're going to have to add anarchy. Okay, let's refill the market. Now we're going to grab ideas from the east and back to red. I'm just going to fundraise first. Get all my cash back. So that's my first action. And I'm going to add a marine. I want to add a marine or move a marine. I'm going to move a marine over here and get rid of that anarchy. That's my bonus. Then I'm going to build a ship. This costs just 2 now, not 3. I know it says 3 gold here, but I've got a factory, so that reduces the cost to just 2. Now we're going to build it here, next to the Barbary pirates. Do I want to install a marine? I think I do. It doesn't have to be here, it could be on any ship, so I could put it here if I wanted to. And that's what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to put it here. So for my Gunboat Diplomacy, I could get rid of this anarchy, or I could get rid of this Pacific Tea trade with a piracy roll. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 slave squares, so I need higher than a 4 with my die roll. So I could spend 1, 2, 3, 4 and roll 2 dice. 2 squared is 4, and try and get higher than a 4. I think my odds are good, don't you? Let's do that. Yes, we got a 10. No problem, we've sunk this slaver. Excellent. There's no corruption, I've rolled 2 dice. Now, ops. I could have done manumission, placed a freedman in Japan, Edo. But I'm actually going to take the maritime op here. This says I can add a marine or move all my marines and then conduct gunboat diplomacy. So let's move this one over here and do a piracy roll. There's no slaves in either adjacent sphere, so I'm just going to roll 1 die to get higher than 0. And if anything other than a 1, we won't suffer corruption. It is a 1. Typical. It matches the Barbary pirates. So the pirates go, we sink the ship, but we have to put a barrier back. And it has to be in Europe or Congo. So I could put this embargo back. Let's do that. Because we've got a marine here, so this marine hasn't moved. I was going to move it over here like that, take that anarchy. Well, I can still do that. Let's get rid of that. Then I can install a marine back here and get rid of that again. Let's do it that way. Okay, that cost me a little bit more than I anticipated. I still haven't moved the elephant, have I? So I can do a literacy, which needs a red agent, or a westernize. So we could do that in the Congo. So yeah, let's do literacy. Move this over to Luanda and add a dissident. Elephant phase. So we've moved the elephant. Let's roll for cultural diffusion. It's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one goes anti-federal monopolies. Hate roll is just a 1. 1 die. It's a 5. That does nothing. Market refresh. Opium Wars comes in. Green. I'm going to have to fundraise. Neither of our finance boards are in a great state. Do I want to pull back any agents? No. And then I don't want to join the revolution. I'm going to syndicate. Let's pay 1. And syndicate here on liberalism. It should be here. So fundraise, syndicate. Now ops, I'm going to do suffrage. We're going to do that here in Korea, where we have a majority. So suffrage says red agent, no. Majority or no white barrier. There are white barriers. So we've got a majority here. It's going to cost a slaver squared. There's only 1 slaver. Pay the cost. And then we can claim a barrier. I'd like to get that red one out because that means then there's no red barriers, which means we can westernize here. And the ship means, because of Underground Railroad, this acts like it has no red barriers as well. And I think we'll suffrage again. We just got to keep knocking down those barriers with this one. It's going to cost 1 again. Let's get rid of, I don't suppose it matters. We'll get rid of Sakoku Kansai sensors. That was a cost of 1 as well. Low on capital. Elephant's moved, but elephant roll means cultural diffusion. We don't want a 3. If we hit 3 and this moves to the right, then the revolutionaries are massacred. We don't get this back. It doesn't get divested. It goes back to the supply. So no, we don't want to see a 3. There's a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On to 9 mystics it goes. Now the hate roll, just 1 space here. That's a 1. So yeah, that did hit. Sonar Joy Ronin, it's a 1. It would rid us of a red thing, but there's a frustrated barrier and no red things here, so we're going to get 1 anarchy. And I think we're going to have red. We're going to have red complete this revolution before it disappears, I think.